All right, so we're diving into something today that might not sound the most thrilling at first glance, Excel for accounting. But stick with me here because
Ah,
especially if you're just starting out in your accounting journey, this is about so much more than just rows and columns and formulas.
mm.
It's really about understanding how businesses work
Mhm.
at their core. Whether we're talking about a massive company or like a small online business,
Yeah.
or even just like that TikToker who's blowing up your feed?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And before we even open up Excel and start, plugging in numbers, we really got to make sure that we've got those core business concepts down pat. Think of it like, building a house. You can't have a sturdy structure without a solid foundation.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about foundations then. What are some of those must-know business concepts that we
Yeah.
really need to grasp before we can unleash the power of Excel?
Well, I think a good place to start is with capital. And capital is really just the initial investment, the seed money that you're putting into your venture. So let's say, for example, you're you're launching a line of graphic tees. Your capital might be, maybe you got a little inheritance from grandma, or you've been saving up your side hustle money. That's the money that you're pouring in to get your designs printed, get a website up and running, all that good stuff.
Gotcha. So capital is what you're putting in. And then on the flip side, you've got income,
Hmm.
which is the money that's hopefully flowing back to you.
Exactly. And ideally, a lot more than what you put in initially, right? So for your graphic tee business, your income would be those sales rolling in every time someone just can't resist your awesome designs.
Love it. But of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
You've got to spend money to make money, right? There are always expenses.
yeah, those pesky expenses, like the rent for your design studio, the cost of those blank tees.
Mm.
Maybe you're running some ads on Instagram to get the word out.
All of that. You got it. And here's where things get a little bit maybe a little more complex. What happens when you have a customer who's like totally in love with your designs, but they ask to pay you later? That's where debtors come into play. Debtors are people or businesses who owe you money. It's really common, especially when you're dealing with other
Oh,
businesses.
yeah, that makes sense. It's like an IOU, basically. So
Hmm.
you're not just making sales and collecting money right away. You're also managing who owes you what,
Yeah.
keeping track of all that. But wait, there's one more piece of the puzzle here, right?
Assets?
Ah, yes, assets.
Yeah.
Assets are things that your business owns
Yeah.
that have value. So that could be your fancy new laptop that you're using for designing. It could be your inventory of teas that are all ready to be shipped out. Could even be the goodwill that you've built up with your amazing customer service.
Okay, starting to see how all these pieces fit together. But I guess the big question is, how does Excel actually help us make sense of all of this? Well, that's where the magic happens. Excel takes those business concepts and it gives you the tools to track them, analyze them, and strategize. It's like having a financial control panel at your fingertips.
I like that, a control panel. But let's be honest, I think for a lot of people, opening up Excel for the first time can be kind of intimidating. Like, where do you even begin with all those cells and formulas?
It's true, it can be a little overwhelming. But I think the key is to start with the basics, the building blocks of any spreadsheet. Things like SEM, average, even simple formatting. That's your bread and butter.
I mean, I've heard of those functions, but honestly, they've always seemed kind of basic. Like, what's so powerful about just adding up a bunch of numbers?
Well, think about it this way. What if you could instantly add up all your sales for the month, broken down by each t-shirt design? Or calculate the average order value to see what your customers are really spending. That's the power of those seemingly simple functions. They give you insights that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Okay, I see your point, especially when you're dealing with tons of transactions. That can save a lot of time and headaches. But I'm guessing Excel can do a lot more than just add an average, right?
Oh, absolutely. Once you've got those basics down, we can start exploring the world of financial accounting in Excel.
Now we're talking. So this is where we learn how to actually use those numbers
Yeah,
to understand a business's performance, right?
exactly. Imagine being able to effortlessly create those all-important financial statements, the income statement showing your profit and loss, the balance sheet with a snapshot of your assets and liabilities. Excel can generate these reports in a flash, and it gives you a really clear picture of your financial health.
So instead of spending hours manually calculating everything, Excel does the heavy lifting for you. I love that. Now, I've also heard this term thrown around, management accounting. Is that just like a fancy way of saying financial accounting, or?
Not quite. Management accounting is more about using those financial insights to make informed decisions about the future of your business. It's about strategy.
Okay, so this is where we start getting really into the strategic side of things. We're not just looking back at what happened, we're using those numbers to look ahead.
Precisely. So let's go back to our graphic tee entrepreneur for a second. Imagine they're considering launching a new line of hoodies, but they want to make sure it's actually going to be profitable. Management accounting in Excel allows them to play with different scenarios.
Okay. So like, what if we charge $50 per hoodie versus $60? How many do we need to sell to break even? That kind of thing.
Exactly. You can use Excel to model different pricing scenarios,
Yeah.
factor in your costs, see how much profit you'd make at different sales volumes. It's like having a crystal ball. But instead of vague predictions, you get concrete numbers to back up your decisions.
Yeah, it really takes the guesswork out of running a business. And let's be real, these days, a lot of people are ditching that traditional 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And they're becoming their own bosses,
Mhm.
whether it's, selling those graphic tees, building an online coaching business, or even, trying to become the next big TikTok star. That's so true. And I think that's why understanding Excel is so important for like our generation. It's not just about, crunching numbers in some corporate cubicle. It's about having the tools to manage your own ventures, like whatever that looks like for you.
Absolutely. And the beauty of Excel is that it's adaptable to any kind of business. So, let's say you are that TikToker we were talking about. They could use Excel to track their growth, their followers, their engagement, their views, and they could really see like what types of content are performing the best.
Oh, that's interesting. So they could see if like those dance videos are actually bringing in more followers
Yeah,
than like their comedy skits or something. I love that. Data-driven content creation.
exactly. It's all about understanding what's working and what's not. And then they can even take it a step further and use Excel to like project their potential earnings based on different growth scenarios.
Wait, so they could